What's up, guys? History here for another severe weather forecast. It is Wednesday, April 23rd, and we have another severe threat in place. So let's take a look. Alright, so here we have the day one outlook here. We have a slight risk, a 2 out of 5, that includes areas such as Colby, Amarillo, and Lubbock in Texas, but those two areas are in Texas. Then we have a marginal risk of 1 out of 5 surrounding that. That includes places such as Wichita and Abilene, and all the way up even through Lincoln and Des Moines up through here. So pretty large marginal risk in there. And then we have a general thunderstorm risk surrounding that. That includes a bunch of places. Oh, and then we have this marginal risk outlined down here too that I forgot about. That includes places such as Charleston, Savannah, and Columbia. So we have a little 5% tornado risk here that includes places such as Garden City. That's really the only decently sized area that's included in that risk. And then we have two 2% risks. We have one down here in southern Texas, and then one down here in Kansas that kind of comes down into the panhandles of Oklahoma and also Texas. This includes places such as Dodge City and Liberal, so just stay weather aware if you're any of these tornado risk areas for tonight. We take a look at our wind risk. We have a 15% wind risk that includes the same places as that slight categorical risk or whatever. Lubbock, Fort Stockton, and Colby, just to name a few. And we have a 5% risk surrounding that. That includes this places such as Abilene, Des Moines, Omaha, Lincoln, all the way down all the way down to Texas and up through even parts of Nebraska here. And Iowa. Now, the hail threat is going to be a little bit higher in some of these areas. We do have a hatched 15% hail risk that includes places such as Garden City and Colby. This is for the threat of 2-inch or larger size hail, which again is about the size of a lime or greater. Then we have a general 15% hail risk that includes those same areas from the earlier risks I was talking about. Amarillo, Lubbock, Fort Stockton, those places. Then we have that 5% risk again that includes about those same areas as before. Oh, and then we have this 5% again down here. That includes Columbia, Charleston, and Savannah. And down there it's going to be the same thing really with our wind risk. But no tornado risk down in that area for today. But yeah, so let's take a look at some models here. So now let's take a look at our Cape values here. As we can see, kind of in this 2%, 5%. This is as of 5 p.m. tonight, which as of me recording, this would be 3 minutes from now actually. But this is of 5 p.m. Central tonight. We can see that very low Cape values kind of through this western Kansas, eastern Colorado area right here, kind of down through that Oklahoma and Texas panhandle. Now, as we kind of come down here into the lower areas, we can see that there is still decent Cape values there. Now, actually, over here where we're not even really expecting much development near southeastern Kansas, it is to be noted there's actually some somewhat decent Cape readings over in that area. Although that's not really a place that we're going to be expecting much severe development tonight. We take a look over at this area over here. We can see that we have somewhat decent Cape readings. Not the best, but okay Cape readings over in this marginal risk. Again, over here, I don't really expect too much severe weather. I mean, obviously some isolated strong to low grade severe storms, but I don't really expect a whole lot in that area. So we move into what would be 6 o'clock tonight. Move into what would be 6 o'clock tonight. We can see the Cape value starting to kind of fade away, kind of in southeast parts of Kansas. Still not the best, really, even not even close really yet, kind of over in western Kansas, eastern Colorado. Of course, as we continue down here into the panhandles of Oklahoma and Texas, and then continue down here, Kate readings are pretty decent, which would support that little 2% risk that is down here in southern Texas. So definitely to watch for a couple of isolated tornadoes out of these readings. Again, over here, really not much in the way of Cape value readings over this marginal threat is over here. We move into 7 o'clock tonight now. The Cape Valley is starting to uptrend just a little bit, kind of in western Kansas. Southeast parts of Kansas, again, with lower end readings, similar to the western side. Again, we move down to the panhandles and down here into the south, where I do believe there could definitely be an isolated tornado supported from this activity. So again, not much changing on this. So let's go ahead. So this is 8 here. Some higher Cape Valley readings in Kansas, but really not a whole lot, I'd say, changing overall. So this would be about 9 o'clock tonight now. So yeah, 9 o'clock tonight now. We can see Cape Valley is starting to definitely pick up kind of down here in southern Texas here. Kansas really, though, not as much, though, I don't think. And we look here, kind of, again, that marginal threat. Really, I don't think, like I said earlier, I don't think there's going to be much in the way of severe weather, even if we're talking isolated in this area. I don't see it personally happening, really, to be quite honest. So now we look at 10 o'clock here. Yeah, just make sure. Now we look at 10 o'clock here. Value still looking not too shabby, especially, again, down in southern parts of Texas here, where kind of a little 2% tornado risk is at. Then we look over here, still not much changing. In fact, probably some additional weakening with those Cape values over in where this marginal risk is at. So we look at 11 here, still nothing much changing except for those decent values down in southern Texas and diminishing instability over in the 5% marginal area. Or where that, whatever, just where that marginal area is at. Now looking at midnight here, still not the most impressive values again. Not much changing, just somewhat decent Cape value readings down in southern Texas, and that's really about it at that point. So, do I think this is really going to be a big time severe weather event? No, not honestly, but do I think there could definitely be a couple of pretty good storms? Yes, I do, and in fact, we're actually going to take a look at the supercell composite here, which is a reading of how likely we're going to be seeing supercells today. So, again, this is looking at 5 o'clock for that. We can see that a bit more elevated readings kind of in north central parts of Kansas, down into Oklahoma, and especially down into Texas, down in that 2% tornado threat too. Like, I definitely think that we could see a few to a moderate amount of supercells over there, but if we look over here, there's almost really nothing going on over here in the way of supercellular activity. We look at 6 as the values kind of start to increase a little bit in the kind of north central, west central parts of Kansas here. Down again to Texas, down kind of through here. And yeah, really not much in the way over here. Okay, now we would look. This would be 2, so this is 7 o'clock tonight. We can see starting to increase a little bit on the western parts of Kansas, down again into Texas. So basically just the same areas being covered over and over again on that. So this would be, as of 8 o'clock now. We can see really kind of starting to increase in that kind of 2% tornado risk area. We continue down through here, and Honestly, I'm probably not going to pay a whole lot of detailed attention to this marginal threat over here. And like I said, I just, the reason for that, I just don't think that's going to materialize, in my opinion. So this is going to be as of 9 o'clock tonight. Should be. Let's see. Yeah, as of 9 o'clock tonight, still those the supercell composite or whatever values are starting to continue to build up here in western parts of Kansas, here eastern Colorado or whatever, down into Texas again. Now this 2% risk right here, I could see this being a little hot spot for supercellular activity, and this kind of area being a hot spot. But yeah, like I said, again, we're not really going to focus too much on that other 5% that's in place. So this is as of 10 o'clock tonight. We can see still definitely on the lower end, but still staying, I would say, constant over in those areas I've just been mentioning, especially still down here. Like I said, I could definitely see, like, anywhere in this slight risk, really. I could definitely see supercells firing, but really main areas, of course, kind of up through this little corridor right here, kind of where this yellow is and this yellow is down here, down through here, and then kind of up in these parts of Kansas and Colorado. But I don't really see supercells firing off too many other locations. So this is as of 11 o'clock tonight. Yeah, so this is as of 11 o'clock tonight. We can see those values really starting to kind of drop in Kansas here. Continue kind of into Colorado and the panhandles of Oklahoma and Texas. And again, kind of down through here. But even up in this northern part, this little northern like corridor, kind of up here in northern Texas, they're really starting to kind of fade off a little bit there too. This be as of midnight tonight. We can see as of midnight tonight, still some so decent supercell composite values, kind of down here in the panhandle of Texas and Oklahoma too, but really not too impressive, just kind of down in here on southern Texas and kind of more northern and the panhandles of Texas and Oklahoma. So yeah, let's take a look at the reflectivity here. Get it pulled up. Alright, so starting back, see here. Now, we do have a new run, but right now I'm using this model run because it had all the data in or whatever. So, yeah. Let's look here. So this would be 2, 3, 4, 5 again. So let's look at 5 o'clock for this. We can see cells kind of starting to fire off in Kansas and parts of Texas and Oklahoma here. And some cells down here. But again, I'm not going to focus on this area as much because I don't see a lot of these cells actually being really too severe. But, these cells kind of up in here, I could definitely see with that environment that they're in that more favorable environment, I could see these being more of a severe threat. And, even as we get up into northern Kansas here, kind of towards Kansas City in that area, definitely could be a severe threat up there for sure. And then, of course, a couple of isolated storms, isolated to scattered storms, kind of running down through here. Now, these, I would say, definitely will be somewhat of a severe risk with these storms for sure. Okay, so this goes into 6 o'clock. You see storms kind of continuing to firing off in this vicinity right here, down through Texas and Oklahoma. Again, these I would say would have a decent shot at being somewhat severe, and a few tinier kind of like single cell storms firing off down here. That marginal risk down there. But again, I don't expect too much out of those. Oh my. Okay. Alright, so this is as of 7 o'clock. Continuing to kind of fire off, or at least, kind of set in through Kansas and those same areas I have mentioned before. Same deal with these storms over here. I do expect some of these to be scattered to isolated severe with these storms. Definitely low to a maybe medium grade at times severe. So this is as of 8 o'clock. Really not too much changing down in this area. Really, again, kind of same thing for that. So this would be 9 o'clock. Same deal, except I think, like, looking at just 9 o'clock right now, these storms are probably going to start to weaken at least a little bit below the severe limits, I think. And then after that, I think they might have a chance to where they just continue to weaken on from there. But let's continue looking, though. So this is as of 10 o'clock, and we can see that they kind of continue to weaken a little bit as we go through there. Again, down into Texas, really not much different story from what I was saying earlier. So this would be as of 11 o'clock. Yeah, be as of 11 o'clock. So we can see starting to turn into more of just a messy area of convection up in Kansas, and really even so down through Texas and everything. So I think after we get past 11 o'clock is when the severe threat is really going to kind of start dissipating a little bit. We continue into midnight, where I would say honestly really starts dissipating, except for the kind of this little line over here, this maybe a little Boeing segment out of that potentially. But besides that, again, not much in the way of severe weather down in that area. So let's see. Yeah, so that's gonna be it for today's video, guys. I hope you did enjoy the forecast for today. Yeah, thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next forecasting video.